Hey everyone, I'm here in a cornfield just west of Onida, South Dakota that was devastated by the tremendous hail events that they experienced. I just wanted to show you a little bit. This is one of the fields that received enough damage that clearly it is a total loss. There will not be any harvesting in this field. It's not pummeled into the ground or completely stripped or blown away like some of the fields that I'll be able to show you here, but still total devastation nonetheless. Let me give you a little bird's eye view here down by the ground. Let's walk through the row just a little bit. You can see some of the plants are completely cut off by the hail, others stripped, some damaged enough that the wind simply blew it over, and there will be no corn produced for this crop this season. It's always a challenge now for the farmers to know what to do with what is remaining here. I'm not sure exactly what this farmer will have in mind, whether it will be disc under, sprayed and left, or what exactly will be done, but clearly there will be no production of corn from this field, and that's a sad event for anyone. I wanted to show you firsthand just how catastrophic the hailstorms were that moved through central South Dakota. I am north of Pierre, just about 30 miles, so right in the center of the state basically. And what you see behind me would have been a chest-high field of corn just before the 4th of July. This is an entire half section, or 320 acres, that has basically been reduced to absolutely nothing but stubs. It's pretty extraordinary. They say here the hail lasted for a solid hour, and you were looking at wind speeds that probably reached up to 90 miles an hour. Let me give you just a little bit of a closer look here. Brought out a pop can just to show you that most of the remaining stalks that are here are not even that tall. And if we just walk down, you can clearly see there is literally nothing left. Only a few plants remain. Otherwise, the hail basically cut them off at the base, pummeled the debris into the ground, or just simply blew it away to where there's nothing here. You'll see that there is a little bit of greenery that is still coming up. That is volunteer winter wheat from last year. This would have been a field that was a total loss last year because of the severe drought, and there is a little bit of wheat that is sprouting from that. So that means this field has been a total loss for our farmer 2 years in a row with no crop. It's a pretty difficult thing to obviously make work financially, and it is amazing to just see how severe the hail really was here. Across the road is a wheat field that was hailed out obviously as well. So come with me, we'll walk across the road and let's take a look at the wheat that is over there, and you can see just how severely damaged that is as well. Okay, so I've just walked across the road from the cornfield I just showed you that was completely annihilated by the hail. You can see that behind me, or not really because there's not much to see, I guess, but you get the point. Anyway, just walked across, and now this is a winter wheat field that you can see here. There really is nothing left of this one either. To be honest, it's interesting the corn is so devastated and the wheat is actually maybe still this tall and the straw is not maybe damaged a little bit more. We've seen wheat fields that have been more severely hailed than this one, but that probably has to do with the maturity of the time when the hail came here and some of the drought stress that it experienced earlier on in the year. But it's interesting nonetheless. I did bring along my pop can again just to try to give you a little bit of an idea of height, but it is pretty shredded up. Most of the kernels that are in the heads are on the ground and have been knocked out. So you can see there's still some undergrowth that's actually coming now because of the rains. Some of that wheat that was knocked out will likely sprout. Those kernels have enough moisture to get going here again. And some of these plants that were probably severely injured but not actually killed may attempt to sprout new shoots and green up a little bit, but you can see a little bit of a greenish tint behind me in places, and that's what is happening. So this will probably be sprayed to try to control and kill anything that's left here then, and likely with the timing of the hailstorm here, there will be no replanting for the majority of the crops in this area. Although there are a few places that have chosen to do some feed mix for feeding cattle, perhaps some millet, and a few replanted sunflowers and soybeans every once in a while we have seen here. But because of the lateness of this, most of these fields will simply not produce any crop this year. Just down the road here is a replanted field, and I will hop in the pickup, head down there, and I'll show you that next. Okay, so I jumped in the pickup and just drove about a quarter of a mile east from the cornfield and wheat field that I just showed you that were devastated. And there are two fields behind me. You can see I'm standing right here at the dividing line, right? On this side would have been this year's corn crop. Like the other cornfield that I just showed you, complete devastation, only a few plants remaining. Most of it completely pummeled into the ground, stripped, blown away, virtually nothing left. This is an example of a field, though, that has been replanted. If I show you here, it's a little difficult, but you can see the marks from the planter, and this field has been replanted. Now, I'm not sure what. It's possible to be sunflowers, millet, or some type of feed for animals, but this farmer has chosen to go in and do that. Now, in the darker soil, on the other side of this dividing line is going to be last year's corn crop. This would have been a complete loss last year on this field as well because of the severe drought. This was planted to sunflowers, but as you can see, there really isn't very much to be seen here. There are a few sunflower plants that peek out every now and then, but the stand or the number of plants that remain in this field is greatly diminished. It will only be a fraction of the crop that it would have been, and probably only time will tell, depending on how the weather continues to go, how this field grows and matures, whether it will actually be salvageable or make up be financially viable, I should say, to be combined for this year. So again, a very sad situation of very severely damaged sunflowers behind me on a field that was a total loss of corn last year, and then adjacent to it, another destroyed cornfield that has been replanted. Just an example of the variation that goes on here and the different decisions that different farmers have been forced to make because of this catastrophic hail.